Well, it's 6 o'clock, so good evening. Would you all please stand with me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance? Chief Mike Piper.
Please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to get together this evening with Mayor and Council to do business for the city. Lord, thank you for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us to keep our city safe. Guide and direct us, give us wisdom, and in heaven save us, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Record reading, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council for September the 9th, 2021. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members of council are present. Having a quorum, we will proceed. First item on our agenda this evening is our public forum. And thank you. We have 3 people that have signed up to speak this evening. So we will start this evening with Jerry Thorne.
I'm Jerry Thorne. I live at 45th Place here in Vienna, and it's a follow-up to when I was here at the last council meeting on August the 26th in regards to water line breaks we've been having in our division there. And when I was here on the 26th, I just had a water break in my yard the Sunday prior on the 22nd. And this past Sunday, I happened to be in Cleveland visiting family and got a call from my neighbor and video sent that, well, we have another water break and you're the lucky winner again. This time it's in my yard. So I got video of the break water coming up out of my yard and then backhoe and digging in my front yard. I now have 4 holes in my front yard for digging for the current break. So this now makes our 5th water line break in 5 weeks in our area here. And this is in addition to what I told you previously. Since I've been there in 2004, we've had 20 plus water line breaks. From an anxiety level, it's not good when you're there and it breaks, but to be in Cleveland 3 hours away and seeing video of what's happening just adds more anxiety. And then, as I mentioned before, the first hole from 2 weeks ago had already dropped 12 inches from, they filled it back in, and it had already dropped 12 inches. My neighbor's lamp post was right on the edge of that hole. They did throw dirt back in there when they were there for the break this past Sunday, but down the line we're looking at, I'm going to have to pay to have somebody come in and fill in the dips there. I've now got a sprinkler head that's spraying one direction only. So there's cost involved on each of these water breaks after the fact, in addition to the anxiety we go through each time this happens anyway. As I mentioned, back on August 31st, 2016, I was told then by Mayor Rapp that he was putting us on the board of jobs that needed done for this. And it was pretty apparent from the last council meeting that most, if not all of you sitting up here, seemed to be unaware that this problem was even going on. In the meantime, I've called Joe Thorpe and John Barr on the utility board, and neither one of them were aware that there was ever been a problem at 45th Place. So I'm not quite sure how the situation was ever going to get resolved if nobody was aware of the situation going on. Like I say, all of these pretty much have been on overtime. So we send a crew in, they fix one little piece of pipe, and they connect it to the 2 old pieces of pipe. And so we've got a old pipe, new pipe, old pipe, new pipe. And as we found out at the last meeting, the pipe that's in there is only rated for 10 pounds per square inch, and our water pressure is 100 pounds per square inch in Vienna. So this is just going to continue happening. So I feel it's time to stop kicking the can down the road, so to speak, and throwing good money after bad. We do have ARP money that can be used to fix this problem. Parkersburg City Council recently allocated $7 million from their ARP fund for water system improvements, including the replacement of more than 56,000 feet of water mains. So they have taken it already to allocate some of their ARP money to fix problems like this. We have an immediate need, and we would request for City Council to please allocate some of this ARP money to fix this issue that shouldn't have been allowed to happen in the first place and should have been fixed a long time ago. We would appreciate your consideration for this.
Mayor, do you mind if I'd like to inquire about a few things? Is that at some point? All right.
I'm sure Jerry will be here.
I'm sorry.
When we get to the council comment period, you're welcome to do whatever you want, but this is the public forum, so no. I got it. Next will be Brenda Powell.
Brenda Powell, 1409 31st Street here in Vienna. I just have a few things that I wanted to talk about this evening. To start with, we've got the John Mansfield property, and we've got $2 plus $5 million, last account that I had, tied up in the property. Something that I wanted to bring to the attention of council is that I noticed that the Wood County Economic Department ended up asking Wood County commissioners for money to help with property that might be being looked at for companies that would want to come in. They want it shovel ready to use. There's been a controversy in regards to shovel ready, not shovel ready, which is it? The thought is, because we've got so much money tied up in that, and the ARP money is available through the county also, why can we not apply or ask the Wood County Economic Development to see if they could look into getting money of that ARP money to help get that property where it needs to be and helping the citizens of Vienna? That's one thing that I wanted to bring forward and thought maybe you might be interested in checking into. Other thing is all of the projects. There are several, and of course we've got another project added in, and they just keep piling. I feel, as a resident of Vienna, lived here all my life, that everybody has the opportunity, or should have the opportunity, without submitting FOIAs and requesting information about where things stand. I feel the cards need to be put out on the table, and actually all of the funds that the city has, city funds, should be with their total of what is in those accounts as of now, be available to the public, and also all of the projects that are outstanding that are going to need to be done, how much they're going to cost. The other thing is to give that information to the people, give it to the public. That's all I'm asking, so that we can see whether or not what things are there, even with the grant money, whatever money's coming in, what projects are going to be taken out of what fund. There needs to be calculation here to be able to show the people that we're not going to be in a deficit somewhere along the road, and there's going to be money that's going to have to be asked from the public to pay. So that's my thing for this evening. I just wanted to present. Thank you.
Chris Mancuso.
Thank you guys for taking time to listen to us this evening. I kind of wanted to reintroduce myself. I know I had spoken maybe a month or so ago as a private resident and kind of expressed my passion for returning to the area. Having lived here and grown up and played soccer and went to high school, I've always loved my hometown. So when I went off to college and became a licensed architect and got some experience under my belt, I felt that it was a good opportunity for me to come back here and find ways to serve the community and work alongside the city council and the community to help, I guess, further the potential that the city has and that I feel that it has. So in doing so, I took a job here with Pickering Associates, and I've talked with the CEO, Ryan Taylor, who's here to support me some tonight, and just expressing our interest, both me as a personal resident and as a professional architect, working in the community to figure out ways that we can come alongside the city council to serve you. Whether that is in a professional working manner or volunteering in our free time, you know, that's something that I'm always willing to do. I have been attending these meetings on my own free time to just be aware of what's going on in the city and see how I might be able to help and serve. I know at the last meeting, Mayor Rapp mentioned Jackson Middle School looking at doing a project at Spencer's Landing, and I expressed interest in, you know, coming alongside Jackson Middle School as a, you know, professional architect to volunteer and teach the students what goes into design and how to think about, you know, and envision a new park in their community. And that could definitely be one way that we could continue to serve. So I guess with all that to say, I would love to kind of talk with you guys and continue to grow relationships with you guys. And I'm happy to leave my business card and stuff to talk with you guys in my own free time to see how we can work together to kind of grow and develop this community in positive ways. Thanks.
The minutes from the council meeting held on August the 26th, 2021 have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. Treasurer's report, Councilman Leach.
Reconciliation of funds for the city of Vienna, September 3rd, 2021. Review the accounts. They appear in order and the city is solvent.
All right, thank you very much. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we'll move into new business. The first item on our agenda this evening is a bid approval for the painting of the community building. Councilman Leach.
Yeah, Mayor, we did not have a budget and finance meeting this month, so I don't, if you have those documents, I'm more than happy, but. Sealed bids for painting of the Vienna Community Building were open on Wednesday, August 18th, 2021 at 10:30 a.m. with the following results. American Star Painting, $17,500. A.J. Vader and Company, $24,996. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council for the painting project is American Star Painting with a bid amount of $17,500. Funding for this project, if approved, will be for the general fund account 540-4015.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the low bid from American Star Painting in the amount of $17,500.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the low bid from American Star Painting for the amount of $17,500 for the painting of the Vienna Community Building. I will note that this is the same company that did the painting and what have you at the Vienna Senior Center. They are a local company and do an excellent job. So with that, is there any further discussion?
I'll just reiterate that. I lived right across from the senior center when they were doing the work and kind of kept an eye on. And I mean, I think they did a good job and the finished product looks really nice. So kind of watched some of the prep work and they seem to be pretty thorough.
All right. I'll call for the question then. All those in favor of the low bid from American Star Painting in the amount of $17,500, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda this evening is a bid approval for the 46th Street Fire Department Maintenance Garage Roof Replacement.
Sealed bids for the 46th Street Fire Department Maintenance Garage were open on Wednesday, August 18th, 2021 at 10 a.m. with the following results. Action Construction, $16,000. Drake's Construction Restoration, $17,037.36. Lee Rieger, I hope I said that right, Builds Inc., $19,500. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for the council for the roofing project is Action Construction at $16,000. Funding from for this project will be from General Fund $565.58.
Chief Scholl, the building is which maintenance garage?
It's the brick garage out there at 46 in Rosemont,
Yes, sir.
the larger one, not the small one.
Correct. Thank you. Okay.
And you've talked about, this is a building we've talked about in the past, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the low bid from Action Construction for the replacement of the 46th Street Fire Department Maintenance Garage in the amount of $16,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the low bid from Action Construction for $16,000. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the low bid from Action Construction, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Chief, it's not that I'm trying to get rid of you, but do you need to go to training?
Not till 7, sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the next item on our agenda this evening is an update on the TIP 411 mobile app. Chief Pfeiffer?
Thank you. Several weeks ago, I had come before council to explain the purchase of a tip app for the Vienna Police Department, and for that matter, for all departments for the city of Vienna. To go back over what this is, this third-party company called Tip 411, they developed an application for us available in the Google Play Store and the App Store for iPhone that enables the public to submit tips or information to the police department that is anonymous. So what this, when information comes in, it scrubs the information of the sender, comes right to us. I can view it on a dashboard and disseminate the information from there. So this did get developed. I was going to show you all what it looked like tonight. And aside from people sending in information, we can also send out alerts to the public, whoever signs up for this app. You can also, if people don't want to download the app, they can also text in information as well. And you would text it to 847-411 and use the keyword Vienna PD, all one word, and it comes right to us. So I want to put this on the screen to see if it works here. So here, this is kind of small. We'll tend to zoom in. You can see the Vienna Police icon. This is what it looks like. So this is what it looks like for the public here. So you can see there's a big blue button there that says submit a tip. So if you would, if you have downloaded the app, you can actually hit that button. Sorry, you can see subject, you can enter a tip description. Where did you see something? You can actually hit that blue hyperlink that says use my location. It will find you where you are. You can type a description in there of what you saw or what the tip is, and you hit that other button down here and you can attach a photo or video or any other type of media that you need to send with it. So it is very easy to use. This screen here is like the home screen. You can see we've put a couple things out already. Here's some located tools, sorry about that, near Vienna Wesleyan Church that we put out the other day. So if anybody had information on that, they could just hit the button right there and say, hey, I know somebody that lost some tools, or I lost some tools, or whatever. We did put out the water service like interruption on 23rd Street. So as things come forward, it pushes called a push notification right to your phone so you can know what's going on. So if we have either crimes and we need identification of suspects or other information that is very important to get out to the public very fast, that gives us an avenue to do that. So, and we've already had tips on some other things coming in. And I think it's been great so far. So we are excited to use that, not only for the police department. Like I said, we did that, the water service interruption. I think those things are type of appropriate, street closures, what have you, to send out information for people. So there is another, and if you want to go like to our Vienna website, go under the police department, it gives a complete explanation of what the app is and the information, how to submit it. You can even do it on our website too if you want to. So I just want to show you all what it is. It's something here, I don't know anybody else in the Mid-Ohio Valley that's doing that. Like I said, we do, I guess, try to get information from time to time on Facebook, social media, through our webpage. And people are always concerned about the anonymity. You know, don't let them know it's me, but I'll tell you who this person is. So this is an excellent way for us to communicate with the public. So if you do submit a tip, it does give us the ability to respond, and it'll come right to your phone. It's, you know, do you know what he was wearing, or did you see what the license plate was, or whatever it is that we need to put out. So I'm excited to use it. I think it's going to be a really nice thing for the public and our citizens and the people that visit Vienna. So thank you for getting that for us.
I have a couple questions. Can you
Sure.
tell me the phone or the number to text?
The number to
again?
text, yes, it's 847-411.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. And then second thing, so will you be able to occasionally report on the outcomes, like how are things going with it? You know, how responsive is the
Yeah,
public
we can-
using it a lot, and how many crimes has it helped with, or?
Yes, we get, there's like an administrative report. I can set it to send me whatever, it's how many's been sent in. And if it, you know, we can definitely make a report for council. That shouldn't be a problem, so.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I did want to add, I said it to text, that number I told you, you have to put the keyword Vienna
Vienna
PD.
PD,
It's all
okay.
one word, so, and that is on our website. It'll tell you the 3 ways to submit a tip, so. Okay, yes, Jim.
So, two things. Number one, there's no integration with 911, right?
That is correct,
Right,
yes.
So, but officers on duty, or like you said, with your phone, this is kind of real time with our officers on duty. Right?
Yeah, so this, I have it set up, it's an administrative type app that goes with it. So I will get them, the other officers I'd set up as administrator, Officer Ong right there, he's one too. He's a detective, deals with a lot of intelligence type information. So it's not going to every single officer, but we can immediately disseminate that to them via text or email or whatever, if you know. But yes, what was the other question you
Oh,
had?
that just it. I didn't think from what you told us before, 911 was involved, but getting a real
Yeah, so
time
yeah,
response.
I did want to add. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to add. It doesn't really don't get confused. It doesn't take the place of 911. This is an emergency. I need the police to get here now. Please don't send that in via tip. Please call 911 in an emergency. So
Right, but if some, that was kind of my, you know, if somebody doesn't choose and they send.
yeah,
this
and
tip,
sometimes
it's
it
gonna get voted
happens.
in
Yeah,
pretty
and I just
quickly.
talked to Officer Jones up at Jackson. You know, and this is a big deal in schools. Kids, you know, they just don't want to come forward and say, "Hey, it's me. I'm the one complaining." They can use this, and that's a good way. So I forward all that, you know, information to Officer Jones, and they can go, you know, hopefully address their problem if it's in a school. But it's usually one of the selling points. It's very popular in schools, and I like that. So kids.
That sounds like a pretty user-friendly,
Yeah,
powerful
it's
tool.
easy. You hit a button and you type it in. So, and if you don't want to type it in, take a picture of it. You know, you send it that way. So, but it's pretty neat because it gives us the ability to reply back to that person.
So for the schools, you say, so I know Officer Jones knows about it, but is there any kind of, flyer that's going home with all the
I
kids?
I gave him a copy of the entire press release, like I typed up, which says what it is, how it's used. He's disseminating that to teachers and
I
administration.
even wonder
at
about the grade
Jackson.
schools. I mean, of course, just for the sake of getting it out to parents that may not be following on Facebook or something, maybe it's something they can go home and backpack.
Yeah, so
somewhere.
this does have the ability, we haven't really explored it yet. You can actually set up different groups, like city council, for instance, I could set up a group for city council, and if we pushed out information, it would just go to you. Neighborhood watch programs, loss prevention for stores, people in those type groups may want just certain information. If we had it, we could push out some safety information just to them. That would be great. So we'll keep working at it. I mean, we just got it started. So that was my first experience developing something on the Apple App Store. That's quite extensive. It took a few weeks,
Nice.
but we got through it. So it turned out great. It looks really good. I like it.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Chief, one more thing.
Yes.
Chris, the Officer Jones that they're referring to, are you familiar with Adam Jones?
Yes.
Okay. Adam Jones seems to be the liaison working on the Manville project, the Spencer's Landing project. If you haven't connected with Adam yet, I would recommend you do that. He's doing a lot of the legwork with gathering information, and he's real receptive to any help that he can get. So that would be your gateway into that project, I think.
If I could add something
Yes, sir.
to your comment. Officer Jones, as part of the Too Good for Drugs program and school resource officer at Jackson, is actually teaching a couple classes. And one of the classes he has some time set aside for is like job development and whatnot. And I know he's used the lady Jody from WVU Extension to come in, and that's what she does. And these kids really are enjoying that. And what Mr. Mancuso said goes right along. I really wish they would. I'll give you his information because his presentation to that group is perfect. That's exactly what Officer Jones is doing. So that'd be fantastic.
Yes. Chief, good work. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Next item on our agenda this evening is a presentation by Craig Metz on infrastructure projects.
Tech savvy I am here, so. First thing I'd like to start off, the residents of 45th Street, I truly feel for you, okay? Don't think that I don't. I live on the south side. I know my water line was broke by over 10 times the last couple of years, and there's nothing worse than standing in the shower with a soapy head and the water goes away. So I feel for you, and we don't like being out there repairing as much as you like being disturbed. So we're going to try to work on it. We'll address that here. So if y'all just watch my presentation, you kind of understand. So put my glasses on first. So. You shouldn't need that, should you? I won't need it. It's got internet. Yeah, I'm good. Things falling all over the place here. First thing, been here 23 years. 23 years I've come to council and preached and begged and referenced the water rates. Everybody loves a low water rate. I don't. I can't do anything without any money. You know, right now we're sitting, the city of Vienna is sitting at 15th lowest out of 367 companies in the state of West Virginia. Let me give you an example. Our water rates, our average water rate for 4,500 gallons is $19.50. Parkersburg's is $35. Okay, so I don't have any money. I can't do projects. So, and the money that I get, I try to do the biggest project that I can. Always go back to the tree. I always try to start at the roots, get the biggest base I can, and go out. And that's what we've done for the last 10 years. We spent millions of dollars on tank upgrades, well upgrades, booster upgrades. So we're working at it. We're at that point now. We're going to branch out and start doing some of the areas like 45th Place. 2 years ago in 2019, we had the same situation on 3rd Avenue off of 55th Street. 18 residents. I had an 1.25 inch galvanized line. It broke constantly, and I had to shut the whole area down to address some areas. We did, utility board did fund the money, and we went out and repaired that. We replaced, 850 foot of line, 18 taps for $134,000. So these projects aren't cheap. Yours is one of the projects is highlighted, but there's also several projects out there for we have additional 1.25 inch galvanized line we got to address. Year ago, we started, and I apologize to some of the council. Like I said, for 22 years, I've come and preached, and it seems like it goes on deaf ears, and you kind of got burnt out on that. Okay, so I don't come to you all the time and say, okay, this is our problem, this is our problem, this is a problem. You all here is actually taking a proactive thing on it. So you guys are asking questions, which I absolutely love. So a year ago, we started a program, or ESRA program, that keeps better records of our water leaks in different areas, okay? I'm gonna show you this. Can you see that? That's 45th Place. Now, this is a year's worth of data here, okay? So it doesn't go back, it doesn't go back 10 years. I know you've had 20-some breaks. This is the past year. You see the water breaks we have in your area, correct? Okay. This is the city. These are the water breaks we have everywhere else. 147 water breaks we've had in a year. Okay. So if you look down and we talk about priorities and what we need to address, there's 7 residents, your alls, in your subdivision, 5 breaks. You come up here, excuse me. There's 16th Street. See the little dots? Each one of these is a water break in the past year. Okay. So there's areas throughout this whole city that needs to be addressed. We have to sit down and decide as in the utility board and council what's the priority, what we can do with $10. Okay. Do we fix 16th Street where it puts out 80 people out of water, which has a substantial amount more breaks, or do we try to help the residents of 45th Street, or do we try to go out when the water breaks and repair it and go on to the next day? Okay. That's what I got to deal with. Okay.
This is
So-
all just for the past year, right?
This is the past year.
Okay.
Okay. Now, it's not pleasant throughout the whole city. Okay. Now we go back in to our water system itself. This is our water lines throughout the city. Blue lines are your plastic lines. Red is your transite, or cast, sorry, and your green is your transite lines. The highlighted areas you see here, these are 1.25 inch galvanized lines that needs to be replaced. They constantly leak. There's also one up here at 53rd Street. It's not marked, but it's right here. So we got 56 miles of lines that we got to address. We need a water rate increase. If you all want to address these things, you need to sit down with me and sit down with the utility board and say, okay, this is what we want to do. Let's do it as a group. Okay, we have a 5-year plan. Okay, it's vague on what you read on the 5-year plan. Some people don't understand what it says. Okay, but it is a line item in there. It indicates, okay, these are the water lines we need to replace. The 1.25 inch lines, the 45th Place lines, the 16th Street lines, okay, the 17th Street lines, the 19th Street lines, okay. It's here. Okay?
So if you imposed that map on top of the other one, we would be able to see which of those lines, and because some of those looks like what's on this corner and that corner and that corner, but you would be able to see which complete lines would need to be done.
Yep.
Is there a
Yep.
particular, so the different types of lines, and I'm sorry that I cannot remember all the different types that you talk about, the 3 or 4 that you mentioned. Is there one particular type that just needs to completely go and we need to, like, it's a particular zone in the city because like all the residents in this particular area have that kind of pipe and it's gotta go?
No. Yeah. Your transect lines is your known areas of problems, okay? Usually they're the one that breaks and have issues with, okay?
That's the green ones?
That's the green ones.
Okay.
Yeah, the blue lines are your newer lines. That's your PVC lines. Okay. I wish I could draw this map up. You see those little star things we see here?
Mhm.
These are your well fields, the blue dots, your well fields, tank locations, booster pumps that we have to address every day. Okay. These are your high dollar items. The green areas is your sewer lift stations that we have to address every day. So.
Are you having any trouble on the blue lines?
We do in some areas. Blue Lines, of course, is 45th place. Along Rosemar Road, we've had problems with and up to our tanks because when they installed that line 27 years ago, they chose to save a little bit of money and put some SCR 21 in for a 12-inch main line. Should have been C900, but they chose to save a little bit of money. We pay for it now. Okay.
All right, so what next? How does it look logistically for us newbies? And most of us haven't, none of us have been here as long as you have. What happens next? You're talking about council and the utility board getting together and figuring things out. Walk me through what that process actually looks like. Is that something we're doing here at like a meeting like this, or do we need to? Is there back and forth? What's the timeline? How do we do this?
We're doing the 5-year plan. We need to sit down and address what areas it needs to be fixed. Your all's input's important. Okay, tell me where that is, and I tell you why we should do it and why we shouldn't. But in that 5-year plan, that's where we set our rate structure, what we're going to do for the next 5 years. That's what we did 10 years ago when we did the tanks. We sat down and said, okay, hey, our tanks are deteriorating. They got holes in them. We need to address these. We'd sit down, put them on a 5-year plan with some well upgrades, outlined what we want to do. We went to our accountant and said, okay, these are projects, this estimated costs. What's it going to take for a rate increase to cover the cost? Okay. The next meeting, next Friday, Burst Sniple did do a preliminary study on what, if we want to do $1 million project or $2 million project or a $20 million project, how much rate structure we'd have to have in place to cover them projects. Okay.
Because the rate increase has to be directly tied to the dollar amount of the projects that we're wanting to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Hazinger.
Have you done any preliminary calculations on how much you need in terms of a rate increase?
That's this Friday, yes.
Oh, this
Yeah,
Friday.
it's based on per $1 million expenditures.
Has there been any thought given to a bond issue, or we could sell bonds?
We do bonds, but we do them through the state, so, and selling bonds that way. So that's what we did with the tank upgrades.
Do you think that would be an option?
Oh, absolutely.
In addition to maybe?
Yeah, the bonds is where we borrow the money. So, okay.
So Craig, let's ask the question about what's the process. In order to get a rate increase, you have to, first off, justify that you need it, all right? And so then you have to go before the Public Service Commission, and they require certain documents to be prepared showing the costs, how many customers you have, your ability to pay it back, and then it goes past that stage, and then it comes to city council to approve the rate increase before it can ever be implemented, okay? It's a lengthy process. I mean, we've been through it, 3 years ago? It's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fun, but it is definitely necessary. I mean, there's a lot of work where you have to have outside attorneys, outside accountants, to do all the reporting that the state requires.
I would say for me, as you take feedback back to the utility board, we have a long list of things that need addressed. So in my mind, I'm thinking, let's get a chunk of projects. I don't know, $5 million, $8 million worth of projects, see what the rate increase is on that. And then maybe set something in place and say, okay, and then we're gonna, like what Mr. Azinger talked about a few weeks ago about tying it to the, what was it, the public?
CPI, Consumer Price Index.
Yeah, Consumer Price Index, maybe tying, a gradual one to that, additionally, after a certain number of years, like, okay, and in 5 years, we're gonna start that. I don't know. But I think doing there's no easy way to do a rate increase, but I don't think anybody can argue, and the citizens can't argue, that it is needed. So I like the idea of getting a big chunk, at the outset and figuring out how to tackle that. Going ahead and getting a big list of things that you can start going after. It might take you 3 years to get them done, but you'll have the money to do it. Is there a time frame? Like, do you have to only have like what you can do within a year?
No,
Or-
we can base rate structure per year. We can break that apart, say, okay, this is the project we're gonna do this year, so we're gonna raise rates to cover that. Then next year, this is the project we're gonna do, and we can raise rates to cover that. You can prove it at one time.
Okay.
The
Parkersburg's
last
real
rate
good at
increase
that.
that Parkersburg did,
Yeah.
they put in over a 3-year
Mhm.
period.
Yeah.
Mr. Azinger?
For the CPI, I think will only cover
Yeah.
inflation. The increased cost of doing business wouldn't provide any funds for
Mm.
replacing
Additional.
water line.
Yeah.
I don't think. I'm not a CPI expert.
Yeah, I've said it for many years. I've always used the same thing. We're sitting here driving this old 1960 model Chevy, and I've just run the wheels off of it. And we just keep throwing little patches here and there, patch there, patch here, and just getting by. But, it's not a way to run a system, so.
We're gonna get it done.
Guys, want to
Mr.
see?
Leach?
I want to go back to 45th
Mhm.
place. So private contractor built that development, correct?
Yes,
And they use substandard pipe, of course, as we discussed in the last meeting, correct? That wasn't designed for that purpose,
correct.
the water standard. So did our code enforcement approve that subdivision? Was that within the city limits?
No.
Yes?
Public Works Director at the time, Tim Lemaster, wrote a letter to the council and mayor and advised them
I'm
not
not
to.
talking about adopting it. I'm talking about, did Vienna approve plans to install that pipe, the wrong pipe?
Jim,
Were
I
we
can't.
involved in that at all?
I cannot answer that. I was not here at the time, so.
So, but at the time that we took it into
Mhm.
the city, were we aware, do you know that? That this was the pipe that was installed in that
Yes.
subdivision? We were aware.
Yes.
Okay, that's it on that. So how much transite do you have? I mean, roughly.
It's probably half our pipe,
Half?
yeah.
And then galvanized?
Galvanized very few. We probably got, less than a mile galvanized.
Mile?
Yeah, less than a mile, yeah.
Okay, any lead?
Pardon?
Any lead pipe?
No, sir.
Okay, and then you got PVC, and you talked about to the Rosemar that they used a different that's leading you to some trouble.
Right.
Okay, when we're talking about funding, we're talking about the enterprise fund, we're talking about dedicating some of the federal funds that we now have available towards some of your projects. And then today I was looking at also this infrastructure bill, on the federal level, and I mean, it's a smorgasbord, there's no doubt. but they do have 55 billion for clean drinking water. So, I think the transite would probably qualify, right, in terms of a line that's not healthy. I mean,
Well, I would say it wasn't healthy, okay?
well, yeah, I misspoke. But I mean, in other words, it's a line that needs replaced. based
They
on
are the
its
older
construction.
lines, yes.
Fair?
Yes.
Right. Okay, the question is whether, what could we potentially qualify, because they're talking about, like I said, just in that is 55 billion, all right? And there's everything, else, internet and so on forth. But, so when we talk about these big projects that we need to do, and the funding sources that we have the enterprise fund, in other words, people pay for their water and sewer, right? And what it costs to maintain the system, which is what you started out with, is we have not paid. We had a 37% increase 3 years ago, and it was a brouhaha, right? I'm
Right.
sure you remember. The second is, again, the CARES Act, or however you want to characterize that funding. And then the third is this federal infrastructure money that might be of some benefit to us as well. I don't know, and I don't know if anybody's looking to. I'd like to get together with the utility board at a council meeting or at their meeting, I don't care. But to spend some time talking about these issues with us integrated, and, and I like to do the same thing with the rec board, actually, and I am proposing that these be added in some type to the agenda. So we can understand this a little bit better, and also that we can be forward thinking in terms of what resources do we have, what is, who can tell us? And this goes back to what I've said about having, an economic development and civic promotion, somebody in this city that can also, because I say, okay, what grants are available to you, Craig? I mean, we got Tony, and perhaps we should look at that, and I don't know what avenues. But I know right now, probably in an unprecedented fashion, we have sources of funding that have never been in my experience, yours, in terms of the CARES Act and this infrastructure bill.
No, but I have looked into grants, and our biggest issue is the grants they look at us and say, you're not willing to help yourself by raising your rates, we're not gonna give you any grants.
Right,
There
that's
you
what I
go.
mean about a coordinated approach using, again, what are unprecedented funding sources,
Yeah.
in our country right now. Because to overlook that there's 55 billion coming through for clean water, and so if we're talking about a 5-year plan, and we're talking about how can we get all these projects done, Vienna didn't create the problem of 45th, but we took possession of it, fair enough. And so anyway, so those are my comments about, and questions about, how we approach this stuff.
How would it work to do like a joint meeting? Can we do that kind of thing? Like where we have the utility board and city council, for like quorum type,
Yes.
you can do that. So would that be like a special meeting that we would call, or is that something we would
We
do
could.
ordinarily?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you go
I
on,
love that
though,
idea.
Hey, Jim, Craig mentioned one of the things. The Public Service Commission looks at our water rates and says, your water rates are too low.
Yeah.
The bottom line, we've had that for years. But the other thing that hinders us from getting the grant money, the median income's too high. We do not have low-income people in areas in town. We've done income surveys, and there just aren't neighborhoods where you can go in and say, okay, this is a depressed neighborhood, we'd like to get funding to do that. We have pockets where there are low-income houses, but the income is too high. But, Tony is a whiz at grants. We need to get every dollar that we can, all right?
At the same time, I think, I hear what you're saying. If we had been more responsible over the past 23 and before that years, we wouldn't necessarily need all those grants. We wouldn't necessarily, need low-income funding of some sort. We should be able to manage our household with what we make, and we have not been doing that. And so while, I'm all for trying to see if there's grants out there, we as a city have an income, and if it's not taking care of our needs, then we need to raise the income.
So, hey, Craig, I have a question. Do you have an idea, rough idea, of what the 45th place project would cost?
Yeah, that's hard to do, and like I mentioned, the project on 3rd Avenue costs $138,000. That was 2 years ago. Everything's gone out of the ballpark with pricing and piping suppliers. I mean, I got to try to get pipe now. if you're gonna do a large project,
My name
they're
is
talking
Gary
12 to
Walsh.
14 weeks, out to just get the pipe. So the contractors are getting really busy right now, so the prices are going up. if that
Okay,
makes
so the
sense.
reason I asked that,
Yeah.
because it makes absolutely zero
Yeah.
sense to me that this has been let to go on for
Mm-hmm.
20-plus years, since the late 90s. And we're sending crews out all the time. I was over there over the Labor Day
Mm-hmm.
weekend when Jerry had another leak. And, you know, and those guys are great. They do a great job. But I'm assuming it's a holiday. They're getting paid time and a half at least, double time, whatever. That it seems like if it's $150,000, okay, I'm not saying it is, but let's say it is $150,000 to fix it, let's fix it, because it doesn't make any sense to continue to throw all this good money after bad money. And I have another comment about that too. So, just tonight, I just learned about all the water breaks on 16th. Now, I'm new to the utility board, but I've been going to the utility board meetings for a long time. And I've never heard this. I knew about the 3rd Avenue thing, but I think that we don't know anything. And so now I'm really struggling to understand all the water breaks that we have. I'm struggling to understand how the 1st Avenue, to balance the system, is the #1 priority. So can you help me with that?
Sure. First Avenue project is, again, I'm a firm believer in working at the base and going out. That's going to supply your water. If you don't have the water supply, it doesn't matter if you got breaks or not. You're not going to have any water. Okay. So always try to work at the base and going out. And when I refer to that, that's big ticketed items that we're working on. This is a big 45th Street would be a big ticket item. So along with 16th Street or 17th Street or 18th Street or all the way up through. Okay. Again, this program that started a year ago, I made this program to make you all more aware of what's going on, because in the past we just had, oh yeah, we're doing water break, you know, here's paperwork, we bury it and go on. A lady came to my office there a couple weeks ago, right, and she asked me, said, hey, I want to see every water break we had, and I'm like, I can't do it, because it's in little red books, and for 20 years it's in these little red books. So we implemented this program to get it going, and this helps out, okay? So, but you asked, why did I let 45th Street go so long? I don't have the money to fix it. And the priority, what is the priority? Is it 16th Street or is it 45th Place? Or is it 17th Street?
Or is it 1st Avenue? And so,
Yeah,
and I come back
that's
to that
right.
again, and
Yeah.
I don't disagree that 1st Avenue needs to be done, but you know, that's been a problem that you've been aware of since maybe 2012, 2014, whatever.
Which one?
The 1st Avenue, the balancing the system, that's a priority. That's the #1 priority.
It is, because I seen the value of it when we went through the derecho crisis and the water crisis.
Now, I mean, I understand it's a priority, but it's not, for me, a priority is, you know, people not having water breaks. And Jerry, I feel bad for the guy, because it's like, he's away, the anxiety that produces, where you can't leave town because you don't know what's gonna happen. This is, when I was down in their neighborhood, there's divot after divot after divot, because it's break after break after break. And it seems to me that's gonna continue to get worse.
Yeah,
Greg, let me add something to this, please.
sure.
You know, the other night the last meeting when Jerry came in, he made a comment about there were 7 people without water, you know, and that happens every time.
Yep.
But you look at every one of those water breaks right there, okay? And unfortunately, you've been working on this system for a long time, and it's finally getting to the point now where you're getting some data where you can actually use this system, all right? You know, based on all of the information that we've been putting in, where all the shut-off valves are. You know how to isolate these areas. There's a lot of these times when we have these water breaks in there, we'll shut off everything from Grand Central Avenue to River Road for 6 blocks. I mean,
16th
that's
Street,
just the way the water valve system is. You have to shut the water off before we can repair the line, all right? And so when you look at this and you say, well, you know, the River Road project's not a priority, it absolutely is. If you have the ability to tie your entire system together in one main loop, you can isolate different areas of it and backfeed those lines to keep the majority of the homes open. And then you isolate whatever that area is there that's the smallest amount of people who their water service gets interrupted. And so this project that you've been working on is really starting to gain some momentum now. You can actually see where we need to say, go here and shut a valve off, here and shut a valve off, and we've isolated it, and now we can repair it, okay? But the River Road project is absolutely a critical part of the overall plan that we've been working on for years to get this system balanced so that you can isolate and still feed other areas of town. And I don't know how many times that we've discussed this. It's a priority. The balancing of the system, the linking of it all in one continuous loop is the priority for that. It allows us to do so many more things.
I think I still disagree. I don't know how else to say it. I see that it needs done. I understand all of your reasonings for it, but it seems backwards to me. Like, we need to get the River Road project done so that we can shut off less water for people when their water lines break. But if we would just go ahead and shut off a section, fix the water line, it wouldn't break, and we could continue to take care of the breakages, and I know in a derecho or whatever situation, we got bottled water, and we figure it out, right? We survive, and we do something in an emergency. We have emergency type situations, but this is everyday life. Like, I feel like the priority should be working on the necessity, not a future emergency.
I understand where you come from, and I really do. I understand what you're saying is like, well, we're disrupting services now. Why do we want to upgrade the water system? But it goes back, like I said, it goes back to the old Chevy thing. We're putting tires on, but the motor's bad, okay? No sense putting tires on if you can't go anywhere. And same thing with water. If we don't increase that flow of water through there, I'm going to lose 9 and 10. Okay, it's coming. It's going to go down. You're part of the utility board, it's coming. So when I lose 9 and 10, how am I going to get water down? The only thing I have is a 4-inch tie-in, 4-inch line tie-in to feed the whole lower part of the commercial district.
Okay, explain that to me. And you're losing 9 and 10.
Yeah,
Talk me through that. Make it bigger
is your
for
well
me.
field. I'm sorry. It's one that's by Sam's, and when I say we're losing them, we have to shut them down to rehab them. You have to rehab these wells every 7 years. Okay, you lose production rate. When you rehab them, you have to shut them both down. Again, they're shut down to 2 weeks. Okay, and then come back online. They get their production back to where, hopefully back to when it was originally drilled. Okay, that goes for every well field. That's why I'm a firm believer in tying every well field in together. So when I shut one well field down for rehab, which you have to do, that tie-in line allows me to produce water, say 7 and 8, and push it down to the lower part of town and keep the people in adequate supply of water. Do they need it? Is it going to matter that 4-inch line will get down there? But yet, if the chief has a fire down there, if the mall catches fire and I got 9 and 10 shut down, it's burning to the ground. Okay?
What is 9 and 10 on the calendar for shutdown?
Yes.
When is it going to be shut down?
Yeah, it's doing the process right now where it's supposed to be this year, but we're running behind. So.
That's the thing. It is on the master plan,
Yeah.
but 45th place is not on the master plan. So you see where the confusion is?
I do.
And I don't,
But
just to clarify to the mayor, I don't disagree that the First Avenue project is a priority project. I think here's the problem. Everything seems to be a priority project because it's been let to go for so long. It's like everything is coming, and I've said this before, and I know Recorder Elam said this before. I'm old-fashioned. Let's get the whiteboard out and like prioritize it. Boom, 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 because we have X amount of dollars, and this is why I have stressed over and over and over again that 2.4 million or whatever it is from the ARP money, we just need to dump that into the utility board and start addressing some of these problems. And I think when this journey, for me, when this journey began, I felt we could take that ARP money, address the problems, and we wouldn't have rate increases. I agree with your opinion about rate increases 100%, But I thought, okay, we can fix these things and then, you know, maybe next year get up to a rate increase. It doesn't look like we're gonna be able to avoid that at all. So, it's just, to me, it seems like everything is a priority, because I can appreciate what you're saying, but it's also hard when, you know, folks don't have water.
Correct.
But if you can redirect the water from one area of town to backfill whatever the trouble area is, so that most of the neighborhood still has water, think of how many people are not going to be mad because their water got shut off, and we have time to make whatever repairs are necessary. It's a continuous flow of the service which we provide.
Right, and it seems like our crews are just now every weekend on 45th Place repairing, so.
Okay, so when the 9 and 10 go down, that's what, how long did you say they're down for? A couple weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're down for a couple weeks. Explain the effect on the system that was depending on 9 and 10 when they're down. Is it lower water pressure?
You will not, right now, 9 and 10 produces almost 700 gallons per minute. Okay, you will reduce that water flow through a 4-inch line and produce 150 gallons per minute. Okay, so you have a fire in lower in town without adequate flow, you will not put that fire out. Okay, God forbid it happens. Okay, and we've gambled that forever. Okay, one of these times we are going to lose. All right, Roger?
Okay,
You're talking to areas where there's high dollar volume losses.
Yep.
Tremendous high dollar volume losses.
aside from, and I'm not minimizing the fire risk there, but aside from that, let's say we can see the future and we know there's not going to be a fire in those 2 weeks.
Okay.
Let's just hope. Okay. Okay. We're not going to have a fire those 2 weeks. Okay. We're taking that off the table.
Okay.
What is the impact on the people that depend on 9 and 10? Is it the lower water pressure because it's not coming through the line as
water
fast?
pressure is based off of tank levels, okay? It's not, it has nothing to do with production on wells.
Okay.
It's based off your tank levels. As long as you keep the tank levels up, that's where you get your water pressure. Your flows will not be there. Your volume of flows, but your pressure will always be there. So your volume of flows is when I'm saying, okay, okay, we all have houses, right? And most of the I have an old house. So I have 1/2-inch water lines in it. So I'm in the shower, my wife's in the bathroom, the other bathroom, she flushes the commode. What happens?
Yeah.
I get burnt. Okay, so you get low flow. And that's what's going to happen, reference to 910, you get lower flow. Okay, so you can't, I mean, you try not to do it during summer, but that's the best time to do wells, but, because sprinkler system, but you're going to have to go through and say, okay, we're going to have to reduce your water consumption in these areas.
I wonder, and this is just me trying to put everything on the table. I wonder if we have a public education thing and say, all right, Team Vienna, we're going to have low flow these next 2 weeks. Everybody pray for no fire. and I'm not trying to minimize it again, but, I just want to put everything on the table and say, what are our options? There might be some that are really bad, and the one that I'm talking about might be bad, but I still want to have it out there to compare with everything else.
Right, and we can do that. Okay, we can schedule outage. We have them all the time. But what happens if we can't schedule outage? What happens if we do have no derecho or a C8 crisis or an outage of electric or anything? We have a main break in that area, where I got the main line that feeds 910 that's broke 4 times in the last 6 years. Well, if I can't get the parts for that, okay, wouldn't it be better to have redundancy in your system to take care of that flow, especially for protection of the residents?
Remind me, because I don't have it off the top of my head. How much
Okay.
is the First Avenue project again?
What, pardon?
The First Avenue project, remind me how much that one was again.
It's estimated cost between $500,000-$600,000. So,
Okay, that's right.
okay. And it's important. And I if you want to do that, and then we've talked about sewer systems needs upgrade. If you want to take that money and do the First Avenue project, River Road project, and do upgrades on different lines, 16th Street, 45th Street, take that money and do it. we'll borrow the money to fix the system down at 12th Street sewer plant. Okay? I hate to say it. I mean, sewer is a very important thing, but it's not life-threatening. I mean, we can always bypass if we have to, okay?
Now when you said borrow, make it,
Borrow.
go into that for me more. Where do you
Borrow
borrow?
money,
Yeah, where are you borrowing it from?
bonds,
Okay, and then the bond is done through the state?
yes.
Okay. But then, and that bond increases the rates?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
So the rates are-
You have to set the rates to cover the bond,
okay.
okay?
So
If we get
the-
grant money, no.
So we could have a rate increase, but we could also have bonds that we've gotten through borrowing that are gonna contribute to the rate increase. Is that true? Or is it all a bond?
No, in order to have the rate increase, you have to show where that money's going to be spent, and that's usually because you have to borrow it through the bond or a bank or whatever you want to do, okay? You have to take them numbers, say, I'm going to borrow $4 million. Okay, how am I going to pay for this $4 million? So you go get bonds to pay for it, and then the bonds are going to say, well, your rate's not high enough to cover this because you ain't going to have enough money, which they're going to tell us that. So you have to raise your rates to cover the fees for the bonds, the payback,
Got it,
okay? Like borrowing it for a house.
okay.
So what you're working on now with regards to the bonds and how much it would raise rate increases, like per million for projects?
That's what we hired Birch and Nyepel to study, and that'll be presented to you Friday and the utility board.
Okay,
Next
and-
Friday, I'm sorry. So,
And that's not, right now, you're not considering the impact of ARP money on that?
no, ma'am.
Okay.
Remember, we asked them to do the two things. Okay, if we're going to borrow per million, what it's going to cost us? Because we figure we could do some projects with ARP or the money, the grant money, okay, right? So if we don't get that money and we have to borrow $1 million, what it's going to have to do the rate structure to cover that bond?
Okay, and so typically, how long are the bonds? I mean, how many years?
You can vary. It's just like a mortgage on a house. You can do 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
In the past, what's been the city's
20 years.
position? 20 years?
Yeah, for the tank. Because usually you try to do a bond issue, your life of your tank for rehabs for 20 years. So you borrow that money for 20 years.
Okay, so my other question is, my understanding from talking to the finance director a couple months ago,
Mhm.
that we do have a bond that will be paid off. I think it's in a sewer bond,
Yes, ma'am.
probably next year. And so that's going to clear up some money within our budget so that, maybe, $18,000, $20,000 a month, not
Sewer?
going to that bond. Yes.
So
So that's going to, just as we look at the whole picture, that's something to consider.
we can go borrow some more money and add that to it.
Because I know, rates never go down. Nothing ever goes down, right?
Any more questions? I'm gonna show you something else if you don't. I mean, go ahead and ask. We're here, right? This is good. I like this. So, we're gonna have utility board meeting here next Friday, so come. I'm gonna do the same presentation to them, so.
Don't come here.
I wish it wasn't at 1 o'clock,
Yeah,
because it
well,
makes it hard to leave work.
Go ahead, tell her what you tell me.
Which part?
Why can't we have these meetings during the day so you don't have to come every night? Why not tell you? I said, people have to work, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I am proposing that not at the next utility board meeting where they have their agenda and you've got a presentation. I'm talking about, I want a meeting with city council and the utility board. I'd like to do the same thing with the rec board, so I'm gonna go put that on the record too. And schedule a joint meeting. I mean, these are important decisions that, there are a lot of options and there are a lot of opinions, and with respect to, I listened to, talking about balancing system priorities, how do you prioritize 45th Street over 7th and 8th, well, 7 and 8, and these things. Craig's talked about coming to council over and over again, and 23 years of doing this and understanding why what I think is a great idea is really stupid, right? He's like, well, yeah, Jim, except you'll drain all our water in the river. Okay, so that's not a good plan. So we have to rely on that expertise that has been developed over time, and don't think that we can ask him to explain and to justify the priorities. When you start substituting you try to substitute your judgment from where we sit with the knowledge that you have, that's dangerous territory. So I think we really need to listen, understand, and I really would like to have a joint meeting with the utility board.
So how do we go about getting that on the schedule?
Talk to the boss.
Okay, how do we get that on the schedule?
We'll work it out. have to see when everybody's available.
Okay. So at the utility board, could you ask them if they can be here at the next council meeting on the 23rd? I
I'll
don't
be
know.
here.
Hmm?
You'll be
I'll
here.
be here.
Oh, yeah, of course you will.
And I don't know what we could do to explore, because one of the things I think is what are our sources of, what are the potential sources of funding? What does this federal money actually mean to City of Vienna? I mean, and how do we look into that? You know, and, because we're talking about dumping all the ARP money into, and I don't agree with that. But we may do it. I mean, that's obviously not up to me.
And we need to maybe get with Tony and see if she can put her on that for the next couple weeks to.
Yeah, but like the mayor and both of them have said, grants maybe, you know, and the, but really it is, you've got all this federal money and the, whatever you wanna call it, the municipalities, the government entities that are prepared to submit whatever it's gonna take in order to be included in that. We really have to look at that.
I think the bill you're talking about is 10,000 pages, and I'm not sure anybody knows what's in it. But we could call our congressman.
That's right. I think we reach out to, you know,
Dave
legislators, our
McKinley.
congressmen, our senators, and say, you know, what can we do here? We've got a need.
And maybe some of their staff, they could give each member 1,000 pages, and after they come back with a synopsis, they.
Greg, I know you want to move on to your.
Yeah.
No,
next
I'm
item. No,
enjoying
no.
the conversation.
I know you want to move on, but before we do,
Yeah, sure.
I just two things.
Yep.
Just a follow up from the First Avenue project.
Right.
You know, when we got into the C8 issue where we couldn't use our water out of our wells, we drew water from the city of Parkersburg. And it was a blessing because it kept our commercial district afloat. But we couldn't draw very much water from them because we were literally sucking some of their neighborhoods dry.
Correct.
If we do the River Road project, that ties our water fields in, and we still have the connection to Parkersburg, where we could go back online with them if need be, if they had an issue where we had to help them. And with the ability to balance all three of our systems and draw from all three of our systems, we could have a reliable source to contribute to Parkersburg if need be, okay? And I think that's a critical component of this thing is, you know, it's nice to ask for help from your neighbors, but you also have to be ready at times when they need help to give it back. And the other thing that I wanted to say was, you know, Craig Metz is an employee of the city of Vienna. That's all. He will do whatever we ask him to do as long as we give him the materials, the manpower, and the equipment to do it with. Okay? So all of these projects, like the 45th Street project, all of those projects, Craig has nothing against any of those. It's simply a matter of he has to work with whatever we give him to deal with. And so this is not Craig's fault. All right? It's not. You know, you can say, oh, well, we could have scheduled it differently. Well, you can. But there's always something going on. And so this is not on Craig. You can't expect a guy to do miraculous things if you don't give him the tools to do it with, or the money. And the money's the key.
And the frustration, though, I think, is not with Craig. It's personally, I mean, it doesn't do any good, but my frustration is with previous councils and mayors. They passed the buck.
We
And-
can't do anything
and-
about that, though.
Yeah, we can't do
We
anything
have
about
to
it, and so
go
that's
forward.
why right now, we've got to take action. You know, I think we're prepared to take action. Something's gonna happen here.
Well, that's the thing that bothers me about the 45th place problem, you know, that the city was advised against it and did it anyway. And so, you know, years later, you know, are we obligated to correct something that was a mistake years ago? In my opinion, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, and that, as Melissa said, you know, when you're advised not to do something, and you do it anyway, and you see what happens years later.
Yeah.
So.
And I appreciate the comment, Randy, I really do, but I will take some of the blame, because that's, you get discouraged over the years, and you come talk, and people's like, well, we don't really care what you say. We're just gonna ignore you. So, and so I kind of slack off and presenting each one. And this is part of this, like I said, this is part of this program we're doing now on Nesray. And now I can keep records, everything is. I can make presentations you all showing you like that, okay, of all the water breaks that we have in the city. Okay, keep in mind, we really only got about 5 employees in the water department, okay? It looks a lot like more than that, because like sometimes I borrow out the streets and get things fixed, but we truly only have 5 employees in the water department. Okay. Now-
All right, so go on to your next project, please.
Yeah. Next to, wow. Yeah, I just want to show you part of this program, and if you guys just give me a second, I'll show it to you. Because this part of this program on my record keeping, before we always kept paper format, and it kind of gets thrown in the corner and everybody forgets about it, and after 7 years we grind it up and throw it away. So this is forever. And when we wrote this program, my staff wrote this program, get into it, and we're going to branch out in other departments. This is what it's capable of doing. You see that little blue dot there, correct? You all see it online?
Yeah.
I'm going to click on that little blue dot, okay? Yeah. I think I am. So, you see that?
No.
You can't see it?
Well, read it to us.
Control and scroll.
Okay, you guys see that?
Yeah.
You'll have to read it.
Okay, you can see the time that we was there and the weather conditions it happened, who actually worked on that, okay? Who was called out, how many hours they was on that job, what products we used in that line, what type the existing line was, what we replaced it with, and every part we used for that line, okay? You see the 4-inch, the C900 stuff, okay? Also, this is kind of, I make kind of easy guys to fill out in the field, just, okay, fill in the blanks. So you'll kind of scroll down through here, but it'll show you this. Okay, that's what it looked like beforehand. Okay, that's what the water break looked like. Okay. This is the pipe that broke. You see the transite pipe here? You asked me what the problem was. You see it right there. Okay. And I'll just get down through here, but this is after the finished product after we got done. This is forever records. So if someone comes to me and say, hey, what'd you do on 20th Street 2 years ago? I said, let me look it up. I can tell you exactly who was there, what employees was there, how many hours I spent on that project, what fittings I used, so it keeps my inventory clean. I can use a lot, I keep better track of my inventory, and show you what damage that was happened from that water break, okay, and how it was fixed. So, a lot of good things about this program. I want to show you one more thing. I'll get out of this. These, and I'll quit with this and I'll promise. These are the water breaks we had. This is everything we keep records of. Everything from sewer breaks, sewer backups, backflow preventers, mowing, inspections, lawn care that we have to go out and do. Like the code enforcement calls me up and say, hey, Craig, I need a yard mow because the poop ain't doing it. We keep record of that. We take before and after pictures. So always have it on track. So.
Starting to make it look like war games.
Yep. See? This is what the Public Works Department did last year. Okay? We pretty well covered the whole city and everything we do. Okay? People say, Public Works don't do anything, they stand on shovels, right? I asked the guys too the other day if they give you a shovel, and they said they didn't give you a shovel to help out. I don't understand that. But this is what we do almost every day. We go out and address some of these issues. Okay? So that's our record keeping now. This is what I'm going to present to you all from here on out.
Just for fun, can we see what the sewer projects have been for the past year? I know you're going to have to unclick things, but can we see what that
Reference
is?
to sewer line backups.
Yeah,
there's a lot
or
of
the
these in
sewer
here,
line
like-
backups or breaks or whatever
Yeah,
is
there's
needed
like
on
sewer
those.
line replacements and
Yeah,
a lot of these in progress reports. We got customer call-ins, customer call-outs. these are the areas you have to serve back up, so. Okay.
What's the name of this program?
It's an Esri-based program.
You're going to have to spell it. Can you spell it for me?
Yeah, ESRI,
ESRI.
yes.
Okay.
And the city of Vienna was extremely fortunate
Yep.
for two reasons. One, we have Tommy Bunner. And Tommy Bunner
Great guy.
is an absolute whiz at this program. But we also receive I don't even want to call it a grant. We participate with the regional council in this program. They came, and Esri came and made a presentation to the regional council and said that here's what we can do for you. And the costs were astronomical. We couldn't afford it. But the regional council stepped up and paid the bulk of the bill. And so we participated in that because I had seen this program for Oak Hill, West Virginia. And I know that, Josh is not here right now, but I know that we're to the point now where we're going to try to take it a step farther and link it in with the community for potholes, for things that need to be noticed, for things like that. And, it's a incredible tool. And we're very fortunate that the regional council, we've been doing this, 3 years, Greg? From with the regional council, or 4?
Yeah, actually, it's only about a year and 4 months.
Is that all?
Yeah,
Okay,
really.
anyway, it seems like longer than that, but
Yeah.
anyway, they pay the bulk of the licensing for it, and we get to partner with them because we're members of the regional council, but it is a fantastic tool. And Tommy Bunner is absolutely
Yeah.
the driver. He can pilot that system.
Yeah, most of these programs actually we wrote ourselves. The ArcView Esri program just gives you the base. Okay, here's your mapping system. Okay, you write a program, whatever you want. So we sit down and write a program. It's like you've seen all the fittings and stuff. We had to enter everything we might use, and all of our employees. So when the guys go out in the field, they've gotten tablets. They'll go out and they'll take pictures of the thing before the work begins, then start writing stuff on their tablets. We'll keep records. At the end, they just push send, and it goes back to us. Actually, we've gone to a live format now. It was, and when we first started using it, we had to come back and download the data. Guys plugged it in a little data port. It downloaded every day. Now we went live, so I can send the guys out reports, and they can send it back to me as out in the field. Especially with our work reports. We wrote a brief program on our work reports. So when someone calls in, you'll see this program here. It says, I just don't say it, but the other one, it says work call outs. My secretary or the reception up front, when she gets somebody calls in and say, hey, there's a pothole out here, you need address, we can tag that and send it out to the guys as they're in the field. And the guys can go look at that pothole and say, yeah, we need to address it now, or we can wait to address it tomorrow. Okay, but they get that live data, and then we also get live data back. Okay, it's a great program. It's helping us out a lot, and it's going to help you all out. Okay, hopefully you won't have the questions.
Can we get
do
monthly
now.
reports from those programs? I mean,
Do you get monthly reports?
I would love to have a report of that.
Yeah. Well, actually, on your monthly reports you get through council,
Yeah, I do, but I'm looking
They're
at it now. I
vague.
mean, there's just
They are
vague.
vague, and I'm
Check
gonna
for
open them up
leaks.
and kind of.
What does that mean to me? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
You're exactly right. So, and that's why I'm opening them up and give you a little bit more data onto them.
Great.
The latest progress report that you get will have where the water lines or breaks were and what we addressed. Now, a lot of stuff we say we can mow grass. We mow grass every day. Okay, it's kind of I'm not going to put every address in where we mow grass. So, but I'm going to get into in our map in this program here. We have also wrote programs to when the guys go out and plowing snow or run the street sweeper, they actually track them, and you can see how many miles, and they can add the tonnage in, or scoops I call it, which we calculate tonnage per scoop, and you can show how much they used and what streets they got and when they got them. So, okay,
Awesome.
yeah, that's my department. So again, apologize, 45th place. I really do. I do feel for you. We're gonna try to fix it. So, but
Questions allowed from,
sure.
I just wondered approximately, do you know how much it runs to send a crew out on overtime like you do with that? I mean, you got the initial call, but then you also have to follow up, redo concrete and everything.
Yeah,
Is that-
cost breakdown. We do have a cost breakdown per employee. I don't have that information referenced to you right now, but we do have individuals on call. If we pay them to get called out or not, that's probably what the guys are seeing. It's not cheap, okay? And it has come into costly for you, for us, for you to keep fixing your water lines. But you gotta keep in fact, like, we also have other places in the city we have to go out to, okay? So you're not the only ones that have water breaks, unfortunately, so.
Well, I just, as
Yeah.
far as in real time, we've had five breaks in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever time it takes to come to a decision on 45th place, we're living breaks every week.
Yep.
Craig, can we get that data for the last year? What it's cost to send crews out to 45th place?
Yeah,
last
I
year?
can, but like I said, it's on the dots here. I can calculate that up and get you a cost estimate on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
And on
And also
45th,
do it on 16th Street if you want.
Yeah,
So-
that'd
Yeah.
be great.
on 45th place, so when you were looking at the dots there, it looked like 5 or 6 dots on there for the past year, but I know they've had more than that in the past year. So could some of those dots actually have more than one value to them, or are those individual incidents? Is each dot an incident?
Each dot that you see is an individual incident within the past year. Okay, that's the only time
Is
we've
it
started this
logged?
program.
Is it
Okay.
logged by the address or by like a GPS?
It's a GPS coordinate. They
Okay.
stand, our tablets are GPS based. They stand over, take a picture, data, download it, there it is. So, okay, where they stand doing their data, that's where you're gonna take the point.
Okay.
Thank you, Craig. That was very helpful.
Yeah.
And like I said, I know we can keep thinking about what it was back in the past, but it sounds like we've got a great plan moving forward. It's just having that data right there, and I don't know, we like I say, we start talking about all things we've done wrong. You know, we've done things wrong with the city and the money and the not addressing things, but I think now there's starting to be a good plan going forward. And I think getting utility board and the council together is a great move. But that Jim suggested, or Melissa, whoever did that, so. And I think it'll be great. It'll be good, and we'll get these things done.
And again, if you guys got any questions, give me a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, please call me at the office. Most of y'all have my cell phone numbers. Some of them give them out. I don't like it, but yeah, some do. So call me if you got any questions. Ken,
Yeah,
you
does
call
the
me.
name
Randy
Bruce
calls
Stoffer
me.
mean
Jim
anything
calls
to
me.
you?
Huh?
Does the name Bruce Stoffer mean anything to you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
How many years?
20.
Thanks.
Yeah. Great guy. Feel bad for him.
Yeah.
So
Do we?
Thanks, man.
Between you guys.
no, it's
Pardon
where
me?
we had the flooding of his house up on 8th Avenue. Every time
Okay.
it rains, it floods his house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
20 years?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff we can do, guys. Really is.
Well,
So-
good. I agree.
Alright. Okay. Guys, got any more questions? Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Craig.
Craig.
Thanks,
It was
Craig,
awesome.
enjoyed it.
Are you staying?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay,
So we'll
now-
move on then. The last item on our agenda this evening is a discussion on blighted properties.
Okay, well, I asked that be put on the agenda this evening. I deal with a lot of questions about blighted properties, a lot of issues. As a matter of fact, I do have some pictures I'd like to show. Okay, that'd be great. Gotcha. I'm left-handed. Okay. I mean, these are some of the calls that I've gotten lately, and I've been talking to Kevin. This is Grand Central Avenue, and if you can see, I mean, these are two. This is where Elke's is in that dog groomers. There is, in between those two buildings, is a, you can see everything growing up along the side of the building. As soon as I figure out how to get this to move to the next screen. There it is. This is what it looks like close up. So you can see this didn't happen last week or last month. So once again, that area in between those two buildings. We have there's several houses in Vienna where we have people living in campers in the front yard. Thank you. Broken down vehicles. This vehicle right here, it's just on one of our city streets. Obviously, it's not running. It has an inspection sticker from 2018. This is a house. Oh, this house has got all kinds of problems, all kinds of outbuildings, all kinds of just debris. Gotten to a point, the reason I took this picture is there's a little area back there. They seem now to just be dumping stuff in that little area with this trailer. This house here, I didn't even know about this house. I was just out cruising today, taking pictures, ran into some neighbors. This house has been a problem for years. They have contacted the mayor and code, and they've gotten different reasons as to why nothing can be done. This house here is the neighbor who lives there keeps calling because she's getting rodents from this junk into her home. These are just some examples, and the reason I bring it up tonight, because I have talked to Kevin, and he's been very gracious to take my calls and to really walk me through some of this, but it seems like we may be lacking in some code, and maybe that council needs to look at looking at that, working with Kevin to try to see how we can improve that. So, or maybe there's not a will to do that. I don't know, but I'm just taking these calls all the time, and when you go through Vienna and you look around, there are a lot of issues, and I think that that's very concerning to our residents. I know it's very concerning to me, and I'm not trying to shame anybody or anything like that, but I think, we can't have broken down cars in the street, and I don't even understand how we can have a lot of broken down cars in people's yards, people living in camper trailers, people not keeping their property up to a sanitary condition so that we don't have rodents or mosquito nests, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just asking council to take a look at this so that we can go forward with some action.
So as you've looked through, and with Kevin, looking at the current codes, you're saying that we may just be lacking some code that addresses these issues?
That was one conversation I had with Kevin. There's some of this code goes back to 1965. And so obviously, I mean, that's even older than me. So I think that probably it needs to get addressed. I wish Russ was here tonight, so I had some more detailed questions, but.
I think probably that we are lacking in code,
Yes.
Kim. And, some of these, and I tried to start addressing some of these. In fact, some of them that I've addressed was actually pictures that you had up there tonight. And I didn't realize, and after working with the mayor and Kevin and Russ, what you had to go through to get these problems addressed and get these issues cleaned up. And some of them's being worked on. We have found you got to be very careful legally. And so we're working through that process on some of those. In fact, like I said, some of the pictures you had up there. But yeah, I think we do. I think we do. In the discussion I had with Russ, we need to look at these codes, and to see what can be done.
I appreciate you
to-
saying that.
To make this process easier.
You know, take it for what it's worth, but when I talk to residents, a lot of times what they say is that, well, yeah, I've talked to the city and they don't want to do anything because they don't want to get sued. And so I don't know whether that's true or not, but I think for me, the level of some of this stuff, you know, I grew up in Vienna, lived in Vienna most of my life, and it's just, we're starting to slip a little bit, and I think we need to get these things addressed.
It's a little bit of awakening for me, you know, when, I kind of operated under the belief you go out there and say you got 30 days to clean your property up, or we'll do this, or you've got, you need to do this, and found out it's not that easy.
Oh, yeah.
And
There's a
we need
process.
to make it easier, is my opinion and my belief.
Thank you.
Okay. That concludes our agenda for this evening. Under council comments, I have something that I need to do. I have a proclamation that I need to read for Constitution Week. Whereas September the 17th, 2021 marks the 254th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebration which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States designating September the 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, Randall C. Rapp, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Vienna in the state of West Virginia, do hereby proclaim the week of September the 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask all of our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Vienna to be affixed this 9th day of September of the year 2021. And I honestly believe that, the Constitution guarantees so many things to so many people, but it is the rules and the backbone of our country. And so I do believe that Constitution Week stands for something, and I do believe that it's something that we all should support.
Amen.
All right? Just as a couple follow-ups to things that were said this evening. There was a comment made about the Wood County Economic Development. And Delegate John Kelly brought Mitch Carmichael to Vienna. And he showed them the Manville site and discussed the funding that's out there. So it is being looked at. Mr. Carmichael was very impressed with all of the work that we've done with the cleanup and what have you. So there is some workings. Tom, you know how that goes. It may not be a while, but at least they know we're here,
Everything takes a while.
It does. And so, it's not like it's being forgotten, but there are lots of funding sources out there right now. And Jim, you asked the question or made the comment about the county, or the grants that are out there. The county is looking for projects to do. I've reached out to the county to share with them a project that I believe will benefit the city of Vienna. And once I get an opportunity to go before the county commission and explain the project to them, hopefully they will give it some consideration, and then we can come back and discuss it here. It's something that I believe that the city can benefit by. The River Road project was $500,000. And, my estimate for redoing 45th Place is $250,000. When you look at the neighborhood that you all live in order to simply tear the streets up and dig the water line up and put a new water line in, I don't believe is a sufficient remedy for your neighborhood. To tear you have a wonderful neighborhood. and to dig a 3-inch trench down it and put a new water line in. You know, my feeling on that is if we're going to do that project at some point, we need to replace the street. Okay, it's just, you know, it's not that long a street, and, you know, if we're gonna do it, we probably should do it right, because if not, it's gonna look cobbled. And, you know, that's obviously something that you all don't want and we don't want. But there again, you know, as we've said earlier, you know, the utility board has a 5-year and a 10-year plan that we've worked on diligently to get done. And when all of the other projects that are considered that the city of Vienna faces, you know, Kim, I know that you've made comments about the swimming pool and the deplorable condition. Ryan Taylor's here with us this evening. Ryan Taylor was the lead for the country club doing the renovation of their pool up there. Ryan has been very gracious to share with us all of the drone footage that they did as Pickering and Associates on that project. The renovation of the country club pool is phenomenal. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic what they did with that up there. And looking at our swimming pool, and the deck is bad, the equipment room is absolutely terrible, and just to replace the deck and put in a new equipment room could be done for $600,000 probably. It doesn't give you the splash pad. It doesn't do all of the things that, you know, were in the big program that we had, which was $3.5 million. But in order to revitalize that swimming pool, we can use the same footprint that Pickering did with the country club, redesign a zero entry pool, which seems to be very satisfactory for the baby pool. But we can save our baby pool. It requires a separate filtration system, but that's just plumbing. All right. When Pickering designed the country club project, they put in state-of-the-art chlorination system where they actually make their own chlorine. It's a phenomenal system. We can do that. All right. There are lots of things. You know, I've had many conversations with Mr. Black, the parks director, about this. You know, I've worked with Tim Roberts about the rec board and the park board, trying to figure out how this would fit into the master plan, which we are now engaged in. You know, my feeling on it is, you know, they redid the country club project in 8 months. If we got started on the deck, if we went in there and tore the deck off of the swimming pool now, it could expose the plumbing. We could see what is down there, what condition it's in. The pool itself has a new liner. You know, that part of it's in good shape. You know, we can redo the deck on the pool. We can allow the upper edge where the big patio is at and all of that semicircular area there for future expansion. We can extend the plumbing right out to it, stub it off, and then at some point, if council chooses, we could go for the development of some of the amenities that the other pools in the area have put in. We don't have to bite the whole bullet at once. But in order to have an active pool, we're going to have to address the deck on the swimming pool, because it's not safe for children because of how many holes and cracks are in that thing. And the equipment room that we have is not safe for our employees. And so we have to address that. And, you know, there are lots of projects out there that when you look at the city of Vienna and you look at all of the things that we provide and that are expected from us, that need to be addressed. All right? So, the utility board is an outstanding group of people that have worked very hard to develop all of the plans. We've had a great relationship over the years working with Burgess and Nyepel through all of the bond improvements that we've done. And I know that in Craig's comments, he talked about the lower end of town. That's why we put in a second water tank. We've got 1 million gallons of storage there. But the key to it is you have to keep the tanks full. You can't draw the water down if you can't keep it full. And so, you know as well as I do, our commercial district is what funds the city of Vienna. And so we have to protect that in some fashion. And, you know, we've got a lot of work cut out for us. And I can tell you, and I know that the other members of council that sat here, the last time we did the rate increase, it barely passed. And so, you know, it's a tough sell. You know, I think if more people understood the projects that were out there, then yes, it probably would be easier. But rate increases are not popular. They're just not. You know, and they're difficult to get done. And there's a lot of justification to say, why do you need them and what are you going to do with the money? And, you know, so we've got a lot of things that have to be worked through. All right?
Let's do her.
Okay?
I just want to put on the record for the agenda on this, and I misspoke when I said rec board. I used to say that my whole life, but park board
Yes.
is who I meant.
Okay.
And I'd like to see on the agenda for both the utility board and the parks board, pretty simple, 4-line items, at least from me. The project name, some estimate or idea of the project cost, the funding source, and the priority. And I like, you know, cause like, for the parks board, obviously it's gonna be the pool. You know, you're talking about 7 and 8. I'd like to have those 4 agenda items that when we have these boards together, we could discuss those. And I don't know if that agenda is put out by council or whomever, but, and again, you know, as far as not a utility, regular meeting of council or utility board unless we decide to do it on utility or a council meeting night. But those 4 agenda items for each board.
I like that.
Okay. I mean, we can do that, Jim. It's not a big deal. I'm not sure that a regular council meeting would give the amount of time that you would require for that, because when you start, it's going to be a lengthy discussion. Okay.
I'm willing to whenever.
Yeah. So I'm just saying we'll probably have to schedule an extra council meeting for that, and we'll deal with that. I mean, the timing's perfect for that because of the ARP funding and all that's out there. Okay.
Anyone see the news poll? I think Parkersburg asked for a 9% rate increase.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the percentages? If I remember, it was 80 plus, maybe even 90% against, and 10% for. And I mean, realize it's not like a scientifically verified poll, but I think it was in the newspaper, and that was the consensus.
Yes.
I think Craig said something that was completely, I mean, you said a lot of great things tonight, but one thing I thought was valuable was how much it costs us for our water in Vienna versus Parkersburg. And I think that needs to be part of the discussion. I mean, it's just, you have to sell this. It's, nobody wants a rate increase. And a poll, I saw that poll too, and you're right about that, but it's like taken within the vacuum without any information,
It's a knee jerk. I get it.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Well, thank you all for your patience this evening, and